Okay dokes, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of B-roll. I know it's kinda shitty, it's very shaky, because it's my first time recording B-roll, I'm using my phone and it's dark so I didn't have steady mode, blah 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 blah. Basically, bad B-roll, but it was fun, so maybe I'll do it again in the future if you guys like it. But anyways, let's get to the video. So, before I actually start on the Kraken itself, two things. Firstly, thank you all for 200 subs. Incredible. If you want to see any kind of special video, please tell me, shoot your ideas in the comments. Secondly, the Squid video is gonna come soonish. I'm just doing the Kraken video first because, well, this thing is kind of a lot cooler in my opinion. And yeah, let's get to it. So, this will just be a first impressions on the Kraken, the Arctic Kraken specifically, but mostly generally just the Kraken. I unboxed it only a few hours ago, so these are like really my first thoughts. So let's get to it. The Kraken is quite a... I was gonna say interesting, but it really isn't. The Kraken is quite an uninteresting Balisong, and that's what makes it interesting for me. So, you might have heard a lot of people say that the Kraken trainer is white bread, and I very much agree, now that I have my hands on an authentic one. The Kraken trainer is basically the pinnacle of standard. I would say it's pretty much pretty good at everything. Maybe not the best at everything, but it is definitely a jack of all trades and very much a master of none. Maybe a master of rollovers, but what I mean to say is the Kraken is good at everything, but it doesn't specifically excel at anything. And that, I think, is not a bad thing. The Kraken really doesn't stand out other than the fact that it is just, well, once again, good at everything. And that, I think, it being average at everything is what makes it not average, if you get what I mean. When you pick up a Balisong from any other maker, usually some things it's good at, some things it's bad at. So for example, the last Belly I covered, which I believe was the Baikal, it was really good at rollovers, but it suffered a bit on fans and thumb chaplains. Whereas with the whereas with the regular Kraken, I've discovered that it doesn't really lack in any area, it just doesn't particularly excel. So, overall I think the Kraken is a decent value. Considering Squid is in the US, I think they are providing a decent price to performance ratio. It flips well, it's at a mid-tier price. I believe it costs more than the Sasori from Machine Wise, even though that hasn't been in stock for like forever. But point is, this thing, pretty decent value, and you get some really good flipping. And I think that really good flipping part is pretty objective. This thing's just very standard. If you can do a trick on another Balisong, you can probably do it here, because, well, once again, it's good at everything. Now that is not to say that I don't have gripes with the Kraken. Once again, since Squid is based in the US, I did just say that the value is decent, but that's just it. It is decent. If you are in the US, I'm going to say this for every single... Okay, I have said this for every single belly I've talked about that is from an American maker. I'm gonna say it again, but I probably will never cover it ever again in future. But American makers, the value for their knives, right, is very localized to their market. So Squid knives, Machine Wise knives, they have decent to good value within America. But if you go outside of it, well, that changes entirely. If you're in some poorer country, then these knives are just not worth it. And you'll be better off getting stuff from Nabalis, getting stuff from clone makers, even though that's not great. But point is, these guys have good value relative to where they come from, which I think is an important thing to note. But once again, with that said, the Kraken is really good and is not a bad value. Now, once again, since the Kraken isn't entirely unique, some people might just think, well, why would I get it? I want something with personality. and that is understandable. But eventually, if you just keep flipping knives with a ton of personality, it's kind of like over seasoning your food, if you know what I mean. So let's say you have a really nice piece of steak, right? You're gonna put on some salt, put on some pepper, baste it in butter, it's gonna be great. But what if you take that same piece of steak, you marinate it in hot sauce? Right, after the hot sauce, you fucking dip it in lime, then fucking car battery acid, then you fucking deep fry it in uranium. It's gonna taste like shit. Okay, that didn't turn out well, but pretend every ingredient I said just now was appetizing. So those things like peppers, limes, whatever, those things are great. They are very unique in taste. But they can kind of ruin your steak, if you know what I mean. The Kraken is basically your salt and pepper. It is very, 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 very basic, but that can be a good thing. I think I've pretty much repeated myself like 3 times already, so I'm gonna stop talking about just the regular Kraken and talk just about the Arctic one. So this thing is pretty cool. The Arctic Kraken, I believe they made 32 of the live blade tanto and 32 of the trainers, and it's pretty cool. It's got this blue PVD coating, which I think looks pretty decent. It ended up being a little bit less vibrant than I would have hoped for. It's also not exactly a very consistent color, but it's still pretty cool. It's got titanium hardware, which is whatever. Strips easier, but I don't plan to take this apart. And it's also got Cerakote handles, which I have never handled like proper Cerakote before. The only one I've had before was the Orion 1.5, but that was a scrap unit. So this is my first time feeling proper Cerakote, and it is pretty nice. I like it. It's quite grippy. I would say it's grippier than just regular anodized aluminum, and I really like it. I guess that pretty much covers everything there is to say for the Kraken, for now at least. I'm gonna spend another week, maybe another month even, because this is a very, very, once again, basic belly, and there is not much to talk about. But anyways, that covers it for now. Look forward to the Squid out video. Thank you again for 200 subs, and that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!